Good morning, my friends. My name is Melissa from Melissa's Struggle and Walk with Jesus. This is Tuesday, October 7th at 7:36 in the morning. I am using the Amplified Holy Bible and the Navigator's Bible reading plan to share the Word of God with you. And today I'll be sharing with you Deuteronomy chapter 6 through 8 in this video. Chapter 6, the title is Obey God and Prosper, and it says, "Now this is the command, the statutes and the judgments, precepts, which the Lord your God has commanded me to teach you, so that you might do, follow, obey them in the land which you are crossing over the Jordan to possess, so that you and your son and your grandson may fear and worship the Lord your God with all filled reverence and profound respect, to keep and actively do all his statutes and his commandments, which I am commanding you all the days of your life, so that your days may be prolonged. Therefore listen, O Israel, and be careful to do them, that it may go well with you, and that you may increase greatly in number, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, has promised you, in a land flowing with milk and honey. Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God. The Lord is one, the only God. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart and mind and with all your soul and with all your strength, your entire being." Verse 6, "These words which I am commanding you today shall be written on your heart and mind." 7, "You shall teach them diligently to your children, impressing God's precepts in their minds and penetrating their hearts with his truths, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk on the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up." 8, "And you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, forearm, and they shall be used as bands, frontlets on your forehead." 9, "You shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates." 10, "Then it shall come about, when the Lord your God brings you into the land which he swore, solemnly promised to give your fathers, to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, to give you a land with great and splendid cities which you did not build." 11, "And houses full of all good things which you did not fill, and excavated, cisterns, wells which you did not dig out, and vineyards and olive trees which you did not plant, and you eat and are full and satisfied." 12, "Then beware that you do not forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. You shall fear only the Lord your God, and you shall serve him with all filled reverence and profound respect, and swear oaths by his name alone. You shall not follow other gods, any of the gods of the peoples who surround you. For the Lord your God, who is among you, is a jealous, impassioned God, demanding what is rightfully and uniquely his. Otherwise, the anger of the Lord your God will be kindled and burn against you, and he will destroy you from the face of the earth. You shall not put the Lord your God to the test, as you tested him at Mesa." Check out Exodus chapter 17, verse 17. "You shall diligently keep foremost in your thoughts and actively do the commandments of the Lord your God, and his testimonies and his statutes which he has commanded you. You shall do what is right and good in the sight of the Lord, so that it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the good land which the Lord swore to give your fathers, by driving out all your enemies from before you, as the Lord has spoken. When your sons ask you in time to come, saying, 'What is the meaning of the testimonies and statutes and judgments, the precepts, which the Lord our God has commanded you?' then you shall say to your son, 'We were Pharaoh's slaves in Egypt, and the Lord brought us out of Egypt with a mighty hand. Moreover, the Lord showed great and terrible signs and wonders before our eyes against Egypt, Pharaoh and all his household. He brought us out from there in order to bring us in, to give us the land which he had sworn to give our fathers. So the Lord commanded us to do all these statutes, to fear and worship the Lord our God with all filled reverence and profound respect, for our good always, and so that he might preserve us alive as it is today." It will be considered righteousness for us, that is, right standing with God, if we are careful to observe all these commandments before the Lord our God, just as He has commanded us. Okay, verse 3 says, Therefore listen, O Israel, and be careful to do them, that it may go well with you, and that you may increase greatly in number, as the Lord, the God of your fathers, has promised you, in a land flowing with milk and honey. Where it says flowing with milk and honey, this phrase referred to the abundant fertility of the land of Canaan. Milk, typically that of goats and sheep, were associated with abundance. Honey referred mainly to syrups made from dates and grapes, and was the epitome of sweetness. Bees' honey was very rare and was considered the choicest of foods. Verse 7 says, You shall teach them diligently to your children, impressing God's precepts on their minds, and penetrate in their hearts with His truths, and shall speak of them when you sit in your house, and when you walk on the road, and when you lie down, and when you get up. Where it says children, other literature has the word sons. Verse 8 says, And you shall bind them as a sign on your hand, forearm, and they shall be used as bands, frontlets on your forehead, where it says bands. Or phylacteries. This is originally a Greek word meaning safeguard. In Jewish tradition, these are also called tefillin, and are understood to be small leather boxes tied to the forearm and to the top of the head with leather straps. The boxes contain small parchment copies of the passages found here and 3 others. Verse 9 says, You shall write them on the doorpost of your house and on your gates, where it says doorposts. Hebrew mezuzah, M-E-Z-U-Z-O-T-H, which, like tefillin in verse 8, also has special significance in Jewish tradition. The singular mezuzah is a piece of parchment on which is written this passage in chapter 6 verses 4 through 9 and chapter 11 verses 13 through 21. The parchment is encased to protect it and is attached to the right doorpost. By Jewish law, all rooms where people live or sleep, excluding bathrooms, are required to have mezuzah on the doorposts. Verse 12 says, Then beware that you do not forget the Lord who brought you out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery, where it says beware. Other literature has take heed to yourself. We're going to move on to Deuteronomy chapter 7. The title is Warnings, and it says, When the Lord your God brings you into the land which you are entering to possess, and has cleared away many nations before you, the Hittite, and the Girgashite, and the Amorite, and the Canaanite, and the Perizzite, and the Hivite, and the Jebusite, 7 nations greater and mightier than you. Verse 2, And when the Lord your God gives them over to you, and you defeat them, then you shall utterly destroy them. You shall not make a covenant, a treaty with them, nor show mercy and compassion to them. You shall not intermarry with them. You shall not give your daughters to his son, nor shall you take his daughter for your son. For they will turn your sons away from following me to serve other gods. Then the anger of the Lord will be kindled and burn against you, and he will quickly destroy you. But this is how you shall deal with them. You shall tear down their altars and smash to pieces their sacred pillars, and cut down their Asherim, the symbols of the goddess Asherah, and burn their carved or sculptured images in the fire. For you are a holy people, set apart to the Lord your God. The Lord your God has chosen you out of the peoples on the face of the earth to be a people for his own possession, that is, his very special treasure. The Lord did not love you and choose you because you were greater in number than any of the other peoples, for you were the fewest of all peoples. But because the Lord loves you and is keeping the oath which he swore to your fathers, the Lord has brought you out with a mighty hand and redeemed and bought you from the house of slavery, from the hand of Pharaoh, king of Egypt. Therefore now, without any doubt, and understand that the Lord your God, he is God, the faithful God, who is keeping his covenant and his steadfast loving kindness to 1,000 generations with those who love him and keep his commandments. Verse 10, but repay those who hate him to their faces by destroying them. He will not hesitate with them who hates him. He will repay him to his face. Therefore you shall keep, follow, and obey the commandment and the statutes and judgments and precepts which I am commanding you today. All right, starting with Deuteronomy chapter 7, verse 12. This is the promise. The title goes into the promises of God, and it says, then it shall come about, because you listen to these judgments and keep and do them, that the Lord your God will keep with you the covenant and the steadfast loving kindness which he swore to your fathers. He will love you and bless you and multiply you. He will also bless the fruit of your womb and the fruit of your land, your grain and your new wine and your olive oil, the offspring of your cattle and the young of your flock, in the land which he swore to your fathers to give you. You shall be blessed above all peoples. There will be no male or female barren, childless or infertile among you or among your cattle. The Lord will take away from you all sickness, and he will not subject you to any of the harmful diseases of Egypt which you have known, but he will impose them on all those who hate you. And you shall consume all the peoples whom the Lord your God will give over to you. Your eye shall not pity them, nor shall you serve their gods, for that would be a deadly trap to you. If you say in your heart, these nations are greater than I am, how can I dispossess them? You shall not be afraid of them. You shall remember with confidence what the Lord your God did to Pharaoh and to all Egypt. Verse 19. The great trials which you saw with your own eyes, and the signs, the wonders, the mighty hand, and the outstretched arm by which the Lord your God brought you out, so shall the Lord your God do to all the peoples of whom you are afraid. Moreover, the Lord your God will send the hornet, his terror, against them, until those who are left and hide themselves from you perish. You shall not dread them, for the Lord your God is in your midst, a great and awesome God. The Lord your God will clear away these nations before you little by little. You will not be able to put an end to them quickly, for if you did, the wild animals would become too numerous for you. But the Lord your God will hand them over to you and will confuse them with a great panic until they are destroyed. And he will hand over the kings to you, and you will make their name perish from under heaven. No man will be able to stand before you until you have destroyed them. You shall burn the carved and sculpted images of their gods in the fire. You shall not covet the silver or gold that is on them, nor take it for yourselves, so that you will not be ensnared by it, a deadly trap, for it is an abomination, repulsive to the Lord your God. You shall not bring an abomination, an idol, into your house, and like it come under the ban, doomed to destruction. You shall utterly detest, and you shall utterly hate it, for it is something banned. So that is all of chapter 7. Verse 22 says, the Lord your God will clear away those nations before you little by little. You will not be able to put an end to them quickly, for if you did, the wild animals would become too numerous for you, where it says wild animals. Other literature has beast of the field. All right, so chapter 8 is the title is God's Gracious Dealings, and it says, every commandment that I am commanding you today, you shall be careful to do, so that you may live and multiply, and go in and possess the land which the Lord swore to give to your fathers. And you shall remember always all the ways which the Lord your God has led you these 40 years in the wilderness, so that he may humble you and test you, to know what was in your heart and mind, whether you will keep his commandments or not. He humbled you and allowed you to be hungry and fed you with manna, a substance which you did not know, nor did your fathers know, so that he might make you understand by personal experience that man does not live by bread alone, but man lives by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Lord. Your clothing did not wear out on you, nor did your feet swell these 40 years. Therefore know in your heart, be fully cognizant, that the Lord your God disciplines and instructs you just as a man disciplines and instructs his son. Therefore you shall keep the commandments of the Lord your God, to walk That is to live each and every day in his ways and fear and worship him with all filled reverence and profound respect. Check out Proverbs chapter 8, verse 13. Verse 7. For the Lord your God is bringing you into a good land, a land of brooks of water, of fountains and springs, flowing forth in valleys and hills. A land of wheat and barley, and vines and fig trees, and pomegranates, a land of olive oil and honey, a land where you will eat bread without shortage, in which you will lack nothing, a land whose stones are iron, and out of those whose hills you can dig copper. When you have eaten and are satisfied, then you shall bless the Lord your God for the good land which he has given you. Beware that you do not forget the Lord your God by failing to keep his commandments and his judgments and precepts and his statutes which I am commanding you today. Otherwise, when you have eaten and are satisfied, and have built good houses and lived in them, and when your herds and flocks multiply, and your silver and gold multiply, and all that you have increases, then your heart will become lifted up by self-conceit and arrogance, and you will forget the Lord your God who brought you from the land of Egypt, out of the house of slavery. He led you through the great and terrible wilderness, with its furious serpents and scorpions and thirsty grounds, where there was no water. It was he who brought water for you out of the flinty rock. He fed you manna in the wilderness, a substance which your fathers did not know, so that he might humble you by dependence on him, and that he might test you to do good things for you at the end. Otherwise you may say in your heart, my power and the strength of my hand made me this wealth. But you shall remember with profound respect the Lord your God, for it is he who has given you power to make wealth, that he may confirm his covenant which he swore and solemnly promised to your fathers, as it is this day. And it shall come about, if you ever forget the Lord your God and follow other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you today that you will most certainly perish. Like the nations which the Lord causes to perish before you, so shall you perish, because you would not listen to and obey the voice of the Lord your God. That is all of Deuteronomy chapter 6 through 8, guys. I thank you for listening today. I pray that God is with you. I pray that these words come about. These words have come about, and I pray that God humbles us in the same way. There's nothing extra in chapter 8 that I need to share. So at this time, I'm going to sign off, guys. Thank you for listening.